Yes, it's confession time. My question to you today is, when was the last time you lied? Now, I know for some of you it's like 6 seconds ago, half hour ago. I lie all the time, but we need to know the impact of what lying does, not to just us, but to those around us. And let's face it, no one likes a liar, okay? Even though we all lie. And I am going to share with you the last lie I told and the impact it had on me. I'm also going to share with you how that person viewed it or what they told me their perception of it was. And we'll go from there. Now, for any of you, well, let me say this, my wisdom walkers who have seen quite a few of my videos by now know that I like to be straightforward, front, not lie about things because lies do us no good. But you're also, if you watched any of my past videos, I think it's the pie one with my sister, you'll find that I haven't been immune to lying myself. But because of that and the lessons I learned from different experiences in my life, I knew that that was not a path I wanted to stay on, and I chose to do so differently. Now, just to let all of you know, as you know, with some of my past videos, as I talked about experiences I had with my family unit and with my siblings, they always considered me as the one that would be, the truth teller. She's not going to lie. Even if she gets in trouble, she's going to tell the truth. I was like that even as a kid. I was like, I never, let me say this. I can understand why children lie because, they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get spanked. They don't want to get sent to, the corner or timeout. I get that. But then as we became adults, my thing is, why would an adult lie? You're living your own life. You're doing what you want to do. You shouldn't be doing anything you would need to lie about. I mean, either do it or don't do it. But you know how that goes. So, just to give you an example, my mother had this beautiful home in the city of Detroit with all of us, and there were six of us, six kids, and my mom. And she had I don't know what to say. She had a room that was called the front room, and it had these two big wooden doors that you can close like this, like in the old times when people would, have company or guests, and you open up the doors and would stroll in. And then she had another room that we considered that one was considered the front room, and the other room was considered the living room. So that's where we had the TV at and, where we would sit and do things like that. Now, the kids weren't allowed in the front room. That was reserved for guests. 'Cause back in the day, we called guests guests. Um, but in both rooms, she had a beautiful chandelier setting, that hung from the ceiling. And one day, I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8. And me and my brothers and sisters were all playing in the front room. And you remember the blocks that they used to have? Now, boomers would know this, but when they had the blocks that had the ABCs on them, they were actually hard wooden blocks. So, they were blocks of wood with the letters on them. And we were throwing, those around the room. And you guessed it, I leaned back and threw a block and it hit one of those chandeliers and the globe of the chandelier and burst it. And everyone was like, "Ooh, you're going to be in trouble. What are you going to say to mom?" So one of my siblings, who let's just say is a very avid storyteller, because we don't want to call kids liars, made up this elaborate story about how this chandelier could have gotten broken. And they told me, "Yeah, just tell mom that. She won't know, and it'll be like an accident." And I'm thinking, well, it was an accident, but I can't lie about it. So anyway, eventually I had to go upstairs and tell my mom that the chandelier broke and how it broke. And she tapped that ass, okay? I got a whooping like you would not believe. But you have to understand, and I'm not taking up for you know, my mom. But those chandeliers were very, very expensive to replace. And not saying there's money over kids or anything like that, but come on now. There has to be some consequences, right? And if you looked at my Rosa Parks video, to slap her around the world, you'll see some tactics that my mom used with us over the years. But that's neither here nor there. So with this, I just wanted to say I've always strove to be, just an honest person. And if it's something that I've done that I shouldn't have done, well, okay, I have to suffer the consequences of that. Now, as you guys know, I love reading, and so I was always had my head in the book. And really, when I was young, I came across a couple of old sayings about, telling the truth and the consequences for that. And I know some of you guys have heard these, but one says, "In the beginning, we make our habits. In the end, our habits make us." And that had a powerful impact on me because I was like, that's right. If we start smoking, that's something that we have to elect to do because we're not born smoking. Same with drinking and other stuff. Um, but once we make that a habit, that habit controls and consumes us. And then it becomes, in control of the things that we do and think and how we react. The other saying that I came across was the one that many of you know. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. And the thing about lying, let's just be honest. First of all, there's another saying that says a liar has to have a good memory, okay? Because they forget sometimes the lies they've told, and then you ask them something, they're like, "What? Who told you that?" I'm like, "You did. Remember?" Ah, but anyway, all of that being said, I just knew that it would be too much of a stressful situation for me to be going through life lying, trying to remember the lie. Then, in order to keep the lie up, as they said in Black Panther, we had to maintain the lie. Now you've got to build a bunch of lies on top of lies to maintain the lie that you told. Like, that's a full time job. So, I'm going to share with you the last time I lied. And let's just say this most, not all, I'm not saying all, but most lies, let's be honest, they just don't make sense. So when someone is lying to you and you're looking at them like, I know you're lying, but you don't want to say that to them. And most times we don't. But then we'll go somewhere else and say, and he lied or and she lied, and I know she was lying or I know they were lying. I'm like, what happens if we just say to the person, you're not telling the truth? I mean, or ask, even if you want to be more civil, be like, are you serious? Are you telling me the truth? Because you want to give people an out where they can say, okay, wait a minute, let me be honest with you. Then you can really start some real conversation. But the last time, and again, I'm just going to tell you the story. So it was 3 years ago for me, and it made such an impact with me that every time I see this person, I'm like, "Uh, you're looking at a liar," meaning me. Although that's not the case, but still, you're like, geez, I can't believe that. So I'll just get into this hotel. Now, as some of you know, I'm a published author, and so I was in the midst of writing a book at this particular time in my life. And this person was familiar with me and the progress that I was making. And so sometimes when I'm doing my novels or doing my writing, I have like one contact person that I'm sending chapters to, and they'll read them, and they'll say something like, "Well, hurry and write the next chapter. I want to see what happens next." Or they'll be like, "This isn't realistic. Did you look this up? Or how do you know about that?" Well, this particular book that I was contemplating writing. First of all, if you've also seen any of my other videos, you know I love movies. I love action movies. I love superheroes. I mean, I grew up in, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Hulk, those comic books were like number one back in the day. And they still may be. I'm just in my 60s. I don't read comics anymore, okay? But so I always liked the, you know, person that comes in and saves the day or, does something out of the kindness of their heart and they're helping people. So this book that I was contemplating writing, it was going to be about five guys because if you remember my best of friends book, it's about five females. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do something different this time. And I wanted these guys to have th- th- they all knew each other, so they were friends, and they all had a military background, but they were no longer in that service. Okay, so they were retired military guys, but they were also like black ops kind of guys that could either kill you on the spot or, let you have your life. So anyway, as I was writing this, I told a couple of people about it, and they were like, "Well, you should. I mean, do you know anything about the military?" I was like, "No." Do you know anything about black ops? No. They were like, maybe you should, your best of friends book was really good. Maybe you should stick with what you know. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're saying the person who wrote Murder She Wrote or Columbo or How to Get Away with Murder, do you think they were going around killing people once a week because they had to write what they know? Writing is about using your imagination. And we have Google today, so I can Google to see some of the training that Black Ops people would have or military regulations and rules. I mean, it's not like that stuff is off limits to us. So I'm thinking to myself, you wait, I'm going to write this book and it's going to be really good. So there was one person that I would send these chapters to, and she was loving it. She was like, okay, okay, this is really good. Keep it coming. Well, that person happened to come over to my house one day. And I invited them. So it wasn't like they came out the blue. But while she was talking to me, she was like, I just read those last chapters. Have you written any more? Now, you guys, the honest answer would have simply just been no. Okay. Because I hadn't from the last time that she had read the chapters that I sent. But it had been quite a bit of time from the time I sent her that and the time she'd read it. So she was thinking, oh, you must have written at least two or three more chapters, right? So I didn't want to look like a slacker. So I said, "Oh yeah, I wrote two more chapters." She said, "What?" She said, "Let me see them." See, this is what happens when you lie. Now, what do you say? So of course, I had to immediately come up with another lie. And I was uncomfortable with this the whole time. I was like, "You haven't lied in years, and now here you are sitting on the couch lying to this person." So I said, um, she said, "Let me see it." And I said, "Oh, it's on the computer, my laptop." I said, it's on the laptop." She says, "Okay, well, let's fire it up." Like, oh, shit, really digging myself deep here. So I said, "Well, it's not charged up. We have because we got to see what a tangle well we weave." So she said, "Well, charge it up." And I said, it's going to take a while for all of that. Let's just visit with each other. You guys, she looked at me because she knows me to not be a liar. She says, you, you're not telling the truth, are you? I'm laughing, but this is no funny matter, okay? Because when you're pegged as a liar, especially with someone who has trusted you for years, never known you to be a liar. I mean, you've always been upright, outstanding, truthful, forthcoming, and there was no reason to lie. All I had to say was, no, I haven't written anything else. But here I am trying to be, yeah, I'm still writing it and it's going really well. Just a big fat lie. So when she said that, I was no way going to try to prolong my agony of being found out as a liar, at least in this situation. So I held my head down and I said, no, I haven't written anything else since I sent you that last chapter. And she says, okay, well that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then she said, but why did you feel like you had to lie about it? And I said, well, I was writing it so well and you were really in it, really enjoying it. And you're thinking that I'm, still, you know, moving forward in it and everything. And so I thought, if I just do this one lie, when she leaves, I can get back to it and do two more chapters and, send her that and act like I had it all along. And she said, for the time that I've known you, you've never, misled me or never been untruthful or any of that. And she said, but we're all, human. And she said, and sometimes I can get it. You may have writer's block, you're frustrated, you're trying to figure things out. All of that is okay. And she said, and I know how you are. So please do not feel bad that I found out that you're a liar. Well, lying. And this would not change anything with us. I mean, you're talking about your own writing in your book. It's not like you're doing any major lying. But see, lying does more to us, or as much to us as it does to the person we're lying to. And I'm telling you, you guys, in my spirit, I was like, she came over. We could have had a nice visit. And now from this visit, what I'm going to remember every time is that I, lied. So again, that was 3 years ago. That person has stayed true to her word. She's like, are you still worried about a lie you told 3 years ago? Are you kidding me right now? And she's right. We do have to at some point move on, forgive ourselves, and remember the learning of a lesson is the application of it. So just moving forward, not doing that anymore. So remember, knowledge is in the knowing, but wisdom is in the doing. And the true learning of a lesson is the application of it. What knowledge, what lesson will you apply in your life moving forward? This is Life Lessons Learned. This is Sherry Brantley. Please leave a comment about the last time you lied. And I'm not talking about, yeah, I ate the last cookie. I mean, no, I didn't eat the last cookie when you really did. I mean, there are some untruths that don't have a major impact one way or the other. But in this sharing, I would like for you to say something that was a major or had a major impact on you or the person that you were dealing with, what lessons you learned from that, and how you were able to move forward from that, or if you were able to move forward from it. So, again, to my wisdom walkers, thank you so much for coming back to view my videos and to support me and leaving your comments, which I do read and I do respond. And for the new viewers, if you're so inclined, please subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.